What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise Stream CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by the GOAT, the true OG. This time, he's going to be with me for hour one and hour two, Mr. Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 of them bitches. Paulie, what's happening, bro?
What up, man? Happy Friday. Big ass tournament on DK today. Taking another shot to try to do the dirty. And I'm glad all you my flies from YouTube and everywhere else is here to join us and get down on this shit.
Let's get down. There's some money to be made today. Shout out to the nation. Yesterday, Wise Stream ended up hitting over 100 likes. Much appreciated, man. That stuff really helps us out. If we could find some consistency with that, that'd be even better. So I appreciate y'all. If y'all haven't already hit the like button, please do. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe and notifications bell. Monday through Friday, we do 2 shows a day from the YouTube and Twitch channels. An early midday breakdown that I've done earlier. And of course, we do our flagship show, the NBA Wise Stream, leading you all the way up until lock to make sure you're kept up to date with any news and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of which, we have a lot of news we're waiting for. We did get some news with the Dallas game. Porzingis, Seth Curry, and JJ Barea all available to play. They're playing Washington. We have a lot of, for an 8-game slate, we were talking about this earlier, it's got the feel or the vibe of like a 15-game slate. There's just so much out there. What are your overall thoughts? How do you plan on approaching this situation? It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, I said to you earlier, this feels like a 15-game slate, and it's only 8. After all the impact of the trade deadline, there's just, a lot of shorthanded teams and good spots. We got Washington on the slate, who's, trying to go for the first 300-point game in like the last 20 years. And, Houston, who's trying to be the fastest paced team in the history of the sport. Like, it is loaded.
It's a wild day. It's a very wild day. What up, Kai? What up, Charles? Those of you in the YouTube chat. Good to see the regulars popping up in here. I guess we'll go ahead and get into it because we're going to have that whole second hour to kind of wait for news and discuss whatever we feel like. So we'll get into the game-by-game breakdown, bang this out, kind of get through it. We're going to start off with the first game, which, of course, is Memphis. We did the breakdown earlier. I had told everyone that it was going to look a little bit different at this point later in the day. And that is going to be the case. If you were around for the show we did earlier, you'll notice that throughout the show, you're going to see a lot of these numbers are a little bit different as we did get some of the news that broke out. The first game we do have is Memphis at Philly. We have a 223 total. Philadelphia is currently favored by 5.5 at home. The interesting thing about Philadelphia, we'll get into the schedule, of course. Philly on a back end of a back-to-back, Memphis working with a day off. One interesting note about Philadelphia is they're like 20-2 or 22-2, some crazy number at home. And their opposite is just horrendous on the road. They've just played 4 straight road games, lost all 4 of them, including their most recent one was last night against Milwaukee. There's rumors that the team is in some sort of turmoil or whatever the case may be. Needless to say, it's an interesting matchup. Paulie, start off with the Memphis Grizzlies side. Talk to me about these Grizzlies today who lost Jay Crowder amongst the trade madness. And the newcomers are not available to make their debuts.
What? Newcomers are available?
No, I said they're not available.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Justice Winslow, when he does get healthy, will be a nice addition to this team. But, it was interesting to see them giving away starting player when they're deep into the playoff race. Like, I think right now they would be the 8 seed, directly be out of it. Usually teams like that don't give up someone that's starting and playing big minutes for them. But some of my research last night kind of pointed to the fact that they really like D'Anthony Melton, and they want to get him and the shooting guard whose name is
Dylan Brooks.
Look it up. Dylan Brooks, who I didn't even know was a good defense player, but they like the two playing defense together, and they've apparently seen enough that they wanted to kind of get Melton more minutes, and saw an opportunity. I mean, I think they like the idea of gaining Winslow as well, but it was more so about wanting to get Melton into the starting rotation. And like Melton was really, widely regarded as like a point guard, but he's essentially hasn't been the backup point guard there for a while. He's really been playing the 2 and the 3. He's very cheap. We like him quite a bit today. I like a lot in this game. I think Memphis being short. We are waiting on Joe Val, though I expect him to play. Philly on a back-to-back. I think this game will be high scoring. The total's in the 222 area. And everybody's cheap. John Morant is cheap. Jaren Jackson Jr., who I don't love today, definitely some foul trouble risk, but he's very cheap. And Philly doesn't get their shots blocked hardly ever. And that's one of Memphis' strengths. So again, little minus on Jaren Jackson Jr., but it's minimal. But Brooks, Melton, I like quite a bit. Joe Val, if he plays, I like a little bit. But mostly the guards.
Yeah, one theme you're going to see throughout this as you guys look at the projections on the screen, one theme you're going to see is there are going to be a lot of good players, good projections, I should say, good point per dollar rankings that you don't hear us even really seem interested in. It's because there's so much out there that you're grading those against the other ones. So, for instance, on a smaller slate, maybe Jaren Jackson at 5.65x or, I don't know, any one of these guys. Dylan Brooks projecting for 5.8x. And these are good plays. They're not bad plays. It's just when you grade them out against some of the other ones we have out there, it gives you an idea. Expect a high-scoring slate tonight is essentially what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys that seem underpriced. DeAnthony Melton is a guy I'm going to have a lot of. I agree with you. I've always been big on DeAnthony Melton. If he's finally going to get the minutes, I agree with you. They got rid of Crowder, who is one of the better defenders and everything else, then evidently they think they have enough without him. So I'm with you, man. I like Melton the most. I'm okay with the other guys. Probably not going to get a ton. It's really Melton, Brooks. If you want Kyle Anderson value, it's there. I do think we have some other value that is a little stronger, like Melton. Let's go on to the Philly side of this. So we talked about them. They're on a back end of a back-to-back. They just got done with a 4-game road trip. They lost all 4 games. They have their record at home is 20-2. Their record on the road is almost the opposite. They're just a home dominant team. They come in here underpriced, especially on DraftKings. What is your interest in Philly? I would imagine at least some of these guys are going to be pretty popular today.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, Embiid and Simmons projecting to be fairly popular. Hard to kind of get away from these guys at their prices against Memphis, just one of the fastest paced teams. So coming off a disappointing loss, going up against one of the most fantasy friendly teams at home where they play well against a shorthanded superstar fantasy team. So and they're way underpriced for what they normally are. So a lot to like with Philly. I mean, they don't even crack the top 5 spots for me on the slate. But, the fact that they're going to be popular and, we know what they're capable of and the opponent, you can't not have any. So Tobias, Simmons, and Embiid, I'm not going to have a ton, unless someone else gets ruled out from this team. But I got to have some because, I'm going to be under the field, but I'm not going to be insanely under where if if Embiid goes for 70, I'm dead. But like I said, there's other spots I do prefer. So it's more of a rather have and not need than to need and not have.
I completely agree. I mean, it's just starting with Embiid alone. It's really a positional thing. You have Enes Kanter as a value play. You have to make a decision on him. You could get more coming at that position. And on top of that, you've got situations like DeAndre Ayton against Houston. You've got Bam Adebayo with no Jimmy Buckets against the Kings, who just got rid of the only center they have left. Assuming that we'll talk about Holmes later. But just in general, I'm with you. I think on a position basis, even though the price is low, it's hard to commit because there are players who are in spots that are better than he is. It's just his price is obviously the most attractive. But I agree. I'm going to have some. I don't want to get beat because I don't have any of the guy that went for 60 or 70 if he does. He has been playing really shitty. I watched him yesterday. I had a good amount of him yesterday. Didn't play that well. Ben Simmons is probably the one I'm interested the most in. He's also got a low price. He was really close to a triple-double yesterday. Just needed 2 assists, and, I mean, they tried to give it to him. The last 6 shots they took were all coming off what would have been an assist from him, and nobody can make anything. But they're at home. They play better at home. Memphis, we know a little bit of a faster-paced team. Going to give him a boost also. Tobias Harris, I'm gonna grab some of. But I'm with you. If you notice on the minute projections, they're a little on the conservative side. I projected Embiid for around 32, Simmons at 37. Simmons played 40 last night. He's been playing 37 is a low end. So I did project them a little low because I didn't want the optimizers to start forcing us onto a bunch of Philly. I do like Simmons. I'll have a good stance on him. I'm going to work in some Tobias, but the positions are competitive pretty much all across the board. We know Alec Burks and those guys are not going to make their return, so that obviously keeps these guys in good standing. So we'll see if we hear anything crazy, like Embiid sits on a back-to-back because of the injury, then obviously we'll load up even more on the ancillary players. But for now, it's mainly Simmons for me, Tobias Harris, and Embiid. And I'm with you. Simmons will have the most of the other guys. I might be a little underweight relative to the field. There's just a lot of really good spots. Let's get into the next one. We've got the Dallas Mavericks visiting the Washington Wizards. We have 3 games with a 234 total today, and this is one of them. The Dallas Mavericks are currently 2.5-point favorites, though that may change by a point or two now that Porzingis is officially in.
Let me ask you real quick. Like, Joe Val questionable, even if he plays. Philly with some size. You think we should take a deeper look into Clark? Like maybe he sees a couple more minutes and they need his size because Joe Val's a little hurt.
It's definitely
interest there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely like an option. I think it's definitely something that could happen. But you're grading him against the other players on the board. Do you think it's that good to where you have to grab some over some of the other? I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that's the question you have to decide. But if you think you could use a guy at 4'8", 4'9" at this position, absolutely. I think there is definitely a path between Joe Val and between Jaren Jackson's foul tendencies. There's definitely a path to Brandon Clark playing extended minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just talking like moving him from like a 3 to 7% play to maybe like a 7 to 14, something like that.
Yeah,
acknowledging that there's a couple more boxes checking that like could lead to a blow up game because he's got a big ceiling when it all comes together, you know?
Yeah.
And it'll be low.
I mean, one thing for sure, if Joe Val were to get ruled out, I think we'd be loading up on him. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But like you, I expect him to play. But yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And the only difference is if Joe Val is ruled out, his ownership is going through the roof. If not, he's going to be low owned. So I don't mind it. Back to Dallas. Dallas working with a day of rest. They do have a game tomorrow. That's why I'm surprised Porzingis is even playing today with a broken nose. We'll see the status on him. Washington working with 3 days rest. Start off with the Dallas side, Paulie. We just heard these guys are in. Porzingis has been a beast, but his price is up there. 9.6 on FanDuel, 8.8 on DraftKings. I'm not sure if he's going to wear a mask. We know he's got a broken nose. I don't know what the deal is. Talk to me about Dallas.
I mean, I think it's almost a certain you can wear some sort of protection. It's interesting, like, with Porzingis in, things become a lot more complicated on Dallas. And it's like, you can't just say, I'm just going to, screw this spot. I'll just play better, like, because it's against Washington. And they've been a part of like the 3 highest scoring games of the entire season in like the last 2 weeks. And, Dallas is playing pretty fast and helter-skelter without Doncic. Like, this game should just be sloppy, fast, a lot of transition. But it's like, who? I mean, I like Brunson regardless. I think he starts. I think he, has a solid usage without much resistance from the defense. He's now played 3 games in a row, over 27 minutes and over 20% usage. And, like, everybody gets there against Washington. And these guys are fairly priced, like 5'6". You could easily see him getting into the 38s, 40s, and, getting you close to 7.5x and being like a elite play on the slate. Maxi Kleber, Tim Hardaway, Porzingis, who's been automatic 50 every time Doncic has missed. His price is up a little, and he's got a broken nose, but he's had 3 consecutive games of 33% usage, 20 shots apiece in all 3 games. Exactly 32.4 to 33.6 usage in all 3, exactly 20 shot attempts, exactly 12 rebounds in all 3 games. That's fucking crazy. So at his current price, those statistics that have been extremely consistent is still very good, so like I like him. But that's probably as far as I go. Brunson, a little bit of Porzingis because, you don't like just run away from a trend that strong. A little bit of Kleber, a little bit of Hardaway, but with him in, it just like makes the rest of the guys very much less attractive.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly thought Porzingis was going to sit today, and I was kind of really hoping he was. I was getting ready to level Maxi Kleber as a pivot off of Cantor. Not that I don't like Cantor, but it would have been nice to have an option. against Washington. But with the
But we haven't. Huh?
oh yeah, there's options. But he was a strong looking one to me. If he was going to start at the 4 with no Porzingis and go up against Washington, play some 5 also, I was going to be ready. And he's still a decent play. He's not a bad play by any means. It's just it sucks, man. I was looking forward to loading up on Jalen Brunson. And now I'm at a point where it's like you also have the Miami situation with Jalen Brunson. So are you going to grade that? Like, how much could I possibly get if I plan on getting exposure to those guys? Plus, there's Ricky Rubio, who's cheap, and there's a lot of guys. So now it's tough. Like, he was a guy that I was willing to commit to if Porzingis was out because of the usage and all that. Now Berea's back, which can eat into his minutes a little bit. Seth Curry's back, which can eat into his usage a little bit. I think Seth Curry more so affects Tim Hardaway Jr., but they're all cheap in a pace-up spot, so I'm okay with them. Porzingis is really the one I'm perplexed by. I just jacked his minutes up now that he's confirmed in to make sure that we get some because of the spot. But I am a little worried. One thing, if you look at Porzingis, he's been really efficient, man. 12 for 20, 10 for 20, 10 for 20. And now he's probably going to be wearing some kind of mask on his face. Is that going to affect his shooting? Because he's not a big, like, he takes a lot of threes and takes a lot of jump shots. He's a guy where, like, if the shots start going bad, I mean, we talk about 12 rebounds in every game. That's great, but he's a fucking big. He's starting off at center most games. It's actually not that great for, you know, this is the spot. This could turn into 15, 16 rebounds today just because of the pace and the position on the other side. But I get worried. You know how he was with the Knicks. You remember those days when Carmelo Anthony would be out and it'd be up to him. And he'd go for 60 some nights, but there'd be some nights where he couldn't hit a shot, and you'd be lucky if he hit 30. So because of the price, that's my excuse to not go crazy. But I am going to have some. I think you have to have some. Like you said, it's Washington, right? Let's go over to the other side. Talk to me about Washington. So we have their lineup already, Paulie. They put their lineup out early. Holla to them. But the lineup that we got, I got to refresh this, but I believe it was Ish Smith starting at point guard, Gary Payton, Bradley Beal, Rui Hachimura, Ian Mahinmi. We know Thomas Bryant is out. Shabazz Napier is expected to be able to make his debut today. He's going to do it off the bench if he does at all because Ish Smith has already been announced as the starter. Talk to me about the Washington side.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I love this situation for Shabazz. The guy's a straight baller, and like he's just like his career path has been like the worst situations. Like he starts off backing up Damon McCollum, right? Then he goes and backs up Kyrie, or not Kyrie, but Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert, and, the Nets, and like finally he gets to Minnesota, but like Teague was there, he finally like proved himself and got in front of him, and Washington's a good landing spot for him, I think. Like, I don't think, Wall's coming back this year, and who knows, what the future lies for him. Beal's not going to play the one. And this is like the style that I think he thrives in, that up and down, take a ton of shots, fast-paced game. So I'm going to be playing a lot of him the rest of the way. And maybe a little bit today, but, the slate's just too big to, that's just a complete dart throw today. The guys I like on Washington are Troy Brown, going to have an increase of usage on the second unit, I would suspect. Shabazz is probably not going to play the exact aggressiveness that McRae did in his first game there, if he even gets that amount of minutes. Hachimura, I like. He played 26 minutes last game. He's 4,500. I like Davis Bertans at 54. Ish Smith at 47, and Brad Beal. Although he is becoming my least favorite stud on the slate outside of maybe Harden. Just, he's really got to do a lot at his price to be like, oh man, I wish I had more, because, the slate's huge, and Devin Booker, De'Aaron Fox, I could see having the same exact score as him. They're $2,000 cheaper.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm not that big on Beal either. With a 40-minute projection, 5.22x. I mean, the Dallas side of the ball is the one seeing the biggest benefit here. As far as Washington goes, I think it's fine. Ish Smith seems fine. Again, grading him against some of the other guards we have. I don't know how much room there is. I think Davis Bertans is kind of interesting with Bryant out. Maybe he plays a little bit more. Hachimura, he's extremely cheap. We know he should be more expensive than this. He played 26 minutes in his first game back. It's going to take him some time to get going, but to me, it's all just tournament shots. I do like the call on Troy Brown, though. We saw him with McRae just injured. We saw how aggressive Troy Brown was, and now that Bryant's not on that second unit to take away the usage, I think he will be more aggressive as Shabazz Napier kind of settles into his role here. Let's go on to the next. We've got the Atlanta Hawks visiting the Boston Celtics. Real quick, Nation, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Appreciate those of you who are just joining us. Stay tuned. We got game by game. We'll take a break, come back with some game theory talk, take some questions, all that fun shit. So we have a 234 total. This is the second game with a 234 total. Boston currently 9.5-point favorites at home. We've got both teams working with a day of rest. The Atlanta side of the ball, I think they're still without Cam Reddish and some of these other guys. DeAndre Hunter, I believe, is expected to play. He's probable. They got rid of Len. They got Dedmon on the team now, so they've made a few changes, but nothing too drastic. The Boston side of the ball is actually, they're the ones who are a little thin. We know Theus has been out. He remains out, but now Hayward and Jaylen Brown are both out, while Kemba Walker is going to return with Marcus Smart, but he's supposedly limited to around 30. They say around 30 minutes, whatever that means. So let's start off with the Atlanta side. Again, the other game, the second game of the three games with the highest total on the slate. Paulie, talk to me about Atlanta.
Fairly simple, I think, with Atlanta. It's always going to be Trae Young. The guy's a machine, and they really just don't, price him as to what he's been performing. John Collins, smash spot against Boston, who struggles against bigs. And do we know Dedmon if he's got like any minute limit or any shit like that?
Not that I know of. I mean, he was playing fine. He was playing 30 minutes a game with the Kings. So if there is, it's only due to him learning the system or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if we see him starting, I could get behind Dedmon as well. We like bigs against Boston. All they got is Cantor today. You want to take a stab at Kevin Huerter, I could understand in like a game stack, but Trae, Collins, maybe some Dedmon. That's it.
Yeah, it's ironic, but the one who's owned Boston the most, not that he's had 60 burgers, but Huerter, man, or I forgot to say his name. Somebody told me how to say it yesterday. Hooter, I don't remember. God damn it. Anyway, he's actually the one who's owned Boston, man. He's gone for 6x twice against them. It's only 30-something points because he's never that expensive, but he's played monster minutes. Like, he's somebody that I'm not getting a ton of, and like I don't want to force it too much because there are a lot of good plays, but he's somebody that I could see at least giving you the 6x. Is he going to go for the 50 or 60? Absolutely not. But he is someone who I can see. Oh. No, we have a different starting lineup for the Wizards. Ish Smith, Bradley Beal, Isaac Bonga, Hachimura, Mahimi. That's the starting lineup. So, how that'll play would you see me describe?
Isaac Bonga, really?
Bonga, they know the deal. I mean, that's better for Beal. Put him on the court. He ain't doing shit. So that's more usage for Beal.
I thought I read they sent them down. That's why I was surprised.
Oh, yeah, I got you. So yeah, I mean, on Atlanta, it's really like Kevin Huerter on a projection basis. I like the most. Trae Young would be one of the studs. If you don't. The other day he was on his way. I don't know what happened. I think he tweaked his ankle, but he was on his way to doing it against Boston. Jaylen Brown's out. Hayward's out. The Atlanta side of the ball, obviously, I don't love as much. But Kevin Huerter, goddamn it. Anyway. He would be the one who projects the best for me. Clearly, I don't watch enough Hawks games. Talk to me about the Boston side of the ball, who, while they get some players back, they lose a few others, and bottom line is they end up thin one way or another.
Yeah, very thin. There are bodies, not as thin as other teams, but like realistically, who's going to get minutes today? It's like 6, maybe 7 guys you can point your finger at, and Cantor is going to be extremely popular. He's 4'4". We know what he can do. If there's ever a time for him to see big minutes, it's today. They don't seem to really want to, but I think they're going to have to today. And like he's just such a beast on offensive rebounds and putbacks. I don't care if it's Dedmon or Damian Jones or whoever they got. Like if he gets a lot of minutes, he's going to do very well. Jason Tatum coming off some of the best games of his career, with the team shorthanded, going to see massive usage, going to take double-digit shots. I never thought I'd really like paying 8-1 for Tatum, but, I'll have some today. It's weird. I usually love Atlanta games, but this isn't even in my top 3 of games. I don't have much negative to say about it. There's just other spots I do like better. Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker are kind of interesting to me. Walker's been hurt. He's got that, a 30-minute limit. That's not even a limit. 30 minutes is I know he usually gets probably 34 to 38, but 30 is close enough at his price to have a really good game. And maybe they don't really, he's playing well. He seems fine. They let him go 32, 33 if the game's close. So I think he's interesting just because at his price, he goes for 50. He's a phenomenal play, and it's, the optimal opponent for him to do that against. And then, like, if he's not and they are babying him, then it's like likely Marcus Smart balls out. Atlanta turns the ball over the most. Marcus Smart, thrives in games where he can get steals and blocks and all the peripherals. So, I like those two as well of like the lesser owned Celtics. I don't see myself getting into any of these like bench guys. They are all crazy cheap. And if you could figure out which one's going to play a lot and get good usage, you could become a very wealthy man today. But, they started Langford out of nowhere last game. The last time they were this short, it was Javante Green. Maybe it's Carson Edwards' turn. I don't know. I'm just going to play the guys that I know will get minutes: Canner, Tatum, Smart, Walker. And if it is going to be one of these weird, rookies, it'll be Grant Williams for me. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really into these cheap dudes. We got cheap dudes elsewhere. Enes Kanter is someone I'm going to end up with a lot of. Just listen, I mean, I have him on a conservative projection as far as minutes go. A lot of other places you look, they got him at like 26, 27, upwards of 28. I'm looking at like 25, and even if you lower him to 22, he's still going to project for like 6.5x. It's just a really good spot. And normally I would say, but they could try to go small. But in this situation, they're going to split between these four players, Kemba, Tatum, Smart, and Kanter. They're going to split them up, right? They'll start the game together, but they're going to pair off at some point. So I can't get around the usage rate that Kanter should have when he's on the court. You combine that with the fact that it is a really good matchup against Atlanta, regardless of whether Dwayne Dedmon is there or not. I mean, the Kings have been terrible against centers forever. Dwayne Dedmon he's been there. He was a part of their problem in Atlanta. That's one of the reasons they got rid of him. So I think that Kanter's a guy I'm going to have a hard time not playing. The rest of them, like Tatum is in a really good spot. Again, I think they split him. Tatum's going to be popular. Marcus Smart and Kemba, not so much, and that's where it's interesting. I think people see that, around 30 minutes was what they said. Like you said, Paulie. Now, when he's gone for 60, it usually takes a 38-minute game for him to do that. But he could still go for 50, 45, or enough at his price in 31, 32, maybe even 33 minutes. So I actually think it is kind of interesting. As of right now, I would have to give him a little more of a boost to really get more of him. But he's like, the problem is we're just so loaded at guard. It's just so there's so many good guards, so it's hard to make room. But for game theory purposes, I'm with it, and I'm with you on that. Marcus Smart should play a lot of point guard, right? It should be him and Kemba will probably be staggered, and then you figure what you pair Kemba with Kanter, you pair Smart with Tatum, or vice versa. But we're gonna see those four players staggered. So in a matchup against Atlanta, when they're on the court, we're talking about some quality minutes, I think, for those four players while they're on the court.
Wanamaker will probably get some point guard, and Smart will play the two a bit.
Yeah, I mean, what difference does it make? It's like, if it's not Kemba, is it really a point guard? If it's not Kemba? I mean, Hayward is the one who really runs the offense when Kemba's not around. So it's like, I feel either way. But
like ownership for you on Kemba, is not going to get over 10%.
No, I can't. There's just as much as I would, if it wasn't like,
5.
Yeah, it's not that exactly. It's not that we don't want to play him. It's just, is there room? Or you got to fight through Goran Dragic, fight through. There's a ton of guys, even like Harden, Dame. There's just so many guards you got to fight through to find room. I mean, Devin Booker, who's playing 40 minutes a game, is $300 more than Kemba. It's just it's tough. But, game theory. That's all you got. But I do like those Celtics. Tatum, I'll have a good amount of. Kanter, I'll have a lot of. Smart and Kemba are the ones that right now I don't think I have a ton, but. Again, they project well. It's just like we said, there's going to be players that project well we just can't reach. Holla if you hear me. You know what I mean. Welcome all of you that joined. Please hit that like button. Let's get into the next game. Toronto Raptors at Indiana Pacers. 218 total, down from 219. Raptors opened up +1. They're down, up. They're now favored by 1. These teams should just play, so it's a home and home. They played 2 days ago. Obviously, they both had a day off since then. Real quick, MG says lower your Kemba. He's on a 30-minute limit. I read. MG, it said the only reason I don't have him at 30 and I have him a little higher is because they said around 30. So we could see. I think all that means is he's not playing no 36 today. But I wouldn't say around 30 in a game against being this thin that they're completely willing to just limit Kemba to 30 or less. I would be surprised if he actually didn't play 31 or more. Needless to say, it doesn't matter. I'm not getting him anyway. The way the projections work now. Anyway, 1 day off in between. Let's talk about this next one,
Toronto.
Toronto. Last time, these guys, man, this was like the slate breaker the other day, man. These guys were all mid-tier. We talked about it. They went nuts. Didn't get enough ownership on it. MG says, I bet. No doubt, PM. I'm with it.
I
Love
did.
it. I love it. So I guess we'll start off with the road team as we always do. Talk to me about Toronto.
Yeah, it's annoying because you could literally justify, getting good ownership to every single game on the slate. Like, I thought this was going to be one that was like, easier to kind of rule out, but the pricing on these guys and like, Indiana, although they are a good defensive team, like has not been playing very good D at all lately. And it's Toronto is very good offensively. They can get explosive and they're just, wildly underpriced. So I think Fred VanVleet at 6,500 is like a cash game play and a guy that I'm going to make sure to have some because, like, when he balls out, he goes from 45s to 50s. Siakam at 75. I think he's one of the most underrated bigs in the NBA. You like Terrence Davis. He's getting good minutes. I like him too. I shouldn't say it that way. You pointed him out to me today. And, he's actually the most popping of Raptors in my model right now. Serge Ibaka, you can make a case for, but realistically, like, because I need to start eliminating things, like, it's really just Siakam, VanVleet, and a tad of Terrence Davis for me here.
Yeah, I mean, again, like Ibaka and these guys, the price is fine. When they did, to me, this slate is just, it's kind of, I find myself, I don't want to feel like a fish for chasing this game because I missed it the last time. Like, it's very rare that games on a back-to-back like that where these teams play, that it follows the same exact script. So if I'm going to attack this, I'm going to try to get it a little different and go after guys like maybe who didn't perform so well, like Van Fleet. Look for a bounce-back game out of him. He's underpriced anyway. I know he hasn't been so great, but we know he plays big minutes normally, and we would expect him to eventually right the ship. Terrence Davis is another strong value play that I just don't get to. He's the exact same position as DeAnthony Melton, similar price, and I have Melton so much higher, I just don't get to him. He has played 28 minutes over his last two games. One was a blowout. The other one I do think was legitimate. It was against the Pacers. It just came down to the wire, and he was the one they rolled with. But I'm not, I think Ibaka's fine. Center's too loaded for me. On FanDuel, much easier to play Ibaka over there at power forward. The rest of the guys, I think they're fine. I just don't know if I reach them, to be honest with you. Talk to me about the Pacer side.
Yeah. Similar to Toronto, I'm just going to take the plays that I have actual interest in. Malcolm Brogdon, 64, just kind of always got to get some exposure there. And that's it. I definitely nervous about not having Demantis, but at his price, he doesn't project well. And he doesn't really go for 60 pluses all that often. I think you need that at his price. Miles Turner's price is crazy cheap. It's just like, he so rarely goes for over 30. I mean, when he does, he usually goes for like 45, 50. Maybe I can justify getting like 5% of Miles Turner, actually, of course, 6. But, that's really it. I'm just the least attractive team on the slate, in my opinion, right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm most likely to get a little bit of Brogdon at most. And I mean a little bit. Like, as of right now, I think I'm looking at like 3 to 5%, really not much. Again, it's not that he's not a good play, it's just a loaded position. Ownership-wise, extremely good play. He's going to be low owned, and he's got a smash price. I mean, I'd be surprised if he didn't give you 6x at this. It's just, again, there are other guys who are also in a good position to give you the 6x return. So TJ Warren also could be coming back. He's had a concussion. So I know the team expect him to be back. We still haven't heard confirmation on that. But if he is back, that is going to be a little bit of a blow to the usage of everyone else. So, again, Brogdon would be the only one I would end up reaching. I think there's just better plays everywhere else that I would want. But ownership on this game is going to be low if that's your deal. You know what I mean? If that's your deal. I'll let it play when you see him in the streets. Next game, we got Detroit versus Oklahoma City. We've got a 216 total, which is one of the lower ones on the slate. However, the Detroit Pistons have become one of the thinnest teams. We understand that John Henson is not available. Brandon Knight wasn't playing anyway for Cleveland, so I thought he was hurt. But regardless, he's not playing anymore. He's not playing today. Neither is John Henson. Looking at Detroit, who schedule wise, I don't think it's that big of a deal. What are they working with? They got okay, so it is kind of a rough spot. Oh, actually, okay, yeah, I remember from earlier today. Detroit's in a really rough spot actually. The Denver spot from the other day. They've had a day off, but they're still fit in that 4-6 stretch, and they got a game tomorrow. So they're about to go through that Denver gauntlet. Denver obviously did just fine in that, even with 7 players against Utah and Utah. Needless to say, talk to me about Detroit, who seems extremely thin today.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I said to you earlier, like they may lose by 70, and you're like, yeah, but they're still going to play a ton of minutes, and that's like the reality of the situation. So, um, anybody, especially that's cheap, that's going to see a major boost in minutes and usage. I mean, Drum Dog was a big usage player. You got to consider. So, Christian Wood at 6K, don't be intimidated by that price tag. He's going to have the highest usage he's had all season. He's basically just going to play the drum and roll now. And, he's might be a better point per minute player. Probably not, but pretty damn close. And 6K is definitely not high enough for those kind of minutes. I mean, they would play Drummond into 38 minutes, and, it's possible they do that here because they're that short. Sekou Doumbaya, 3,500, probably going to start, probably going to play 30 minutes. He's a big point per minute guy. You got to get some of that. Bruce Brown, got to have some of him at 49. Reggie Jackson, 61. Proceed with caution. Don't go too heavy. He could go 1 for 16 shooting, or he could smash and go for 50. But at 6K, he's got to really smash. Like a 35 probably isn't enough anymore. So, he doesn't do that all that often. I'm very impressed with, the Reggie Jackson that we're seeing lately. This is a spot for him to have even more usage than he's had lately. But, there's other guys I like a little bit better on the slate. But you cannot ignore the Detroit spot. You got to have some if you're building multiple teams. There's just too few guys at such good prices. Regardless if you think it's a good matchup or not, it doesn't really matter. It might get a lot of blowout run, or if the game's close, then they're all really crushing their price. So you got to get some. That's it. That's all I got to say about that.
I mean, to your point, I know that the pace of this game doesn't look great. OKC's not a great team to target for fantasy all the time. But like you said, man, we're talking about 9 active bodies. 9 active bodies, 2 of which are like G League players who don't really get much run at all, who are playing like 5 minutes a game for garbage time, and Jordan Boone and Lewis King. But that's it. I mean, it's pretty close to that Denver situation. Again, Denver literally only had 7 available bodies, so they do have 2 more bodies available than Denver did that day. But again, we're talking about 2 players who, if they're going to try to win this game, which they obviously should be, are going to see minimal minutes. Because of the way positions work out, we've got Reggie Jackson projecting awesome. It's just, again, guard is so loaded that when weighted out, his raw point output relative to point per dollar, everything, like I'm still not getting a lot. I'm looking at like 10%, which I'm comfortable with that. Not that I don't think he's a good play, but they do have a lot of, between Paul and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, it's not like it's like cupcake matchups. It's not necessarily terrible, but it's not like cupcake matchups. OKC does play a little slower. They can play through some defense. And Reggie, at the end of the day, we seen him to go 1 for 16 the other day. So we know how ugly it can get, even with a 30% usage rate. But not saying I don't like him. I'm just saying positionally, he was harder to get to. I found myself getting a little bit more Bruce Brown, a lot more Christian Wood, who I do have a lot of. Christian Wood is 7-3 on FanDuel. So if you think 6K is too much on DraftKings, that'll tell you what FanDuel thinks of him, because FanDuel is pricing everybody soft on purpose, and they still price him up at 7-3. But Christian Wood is my main takeaway. Again, don't be afraid to play some of these guys, man. Guys you wouldn't expect. Langston Galloway as a value option. I'm not saying I love him. The main guys here are obviously Reggie Jackson, Bruce Brown, Christian Wood. But again, we're talking about a team that's just really thin. I'll if you hear me in the chat. Talk to me about the other side of the ball, the Thunder side. Steven Adams did play 30 minutes in that last game, by the way. Still didn't do anything, but he did. At least the restriction seems to be lifted.
Yeah, he's projecting well, but if you look at what he's been doing recently, you're like, how? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that. do think OKC guys are all going to be like 5% owned or less, and they're like in a phenomenal spot. There's not going to be much defense played by Detroit. They may actually play pretty fast without Drummond. Again, like I just don't see myself picking these guys over some of these other plays on the slate. But you want to get a little, Shea Gilgeous. You want to get a tad of Dennis Schroeder. I'm all right with that. I just have a very hard time seeing this game be close, which means not going to play Chris Paul, and doubtful that Danilo goes for a high enough score that you needed him today, and in a game you don't see being close. So just not that interested. Phenomenal spot, but nowhere near the other ones on the slate.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me, man. This game is one-sided. I'm way more interested in the Detroit side than I am on the OKC side. Adams has a good price. Like you said, he looked like dog shit, but hey, he played 30 minutes. And this is a really good spot for bigs now. I mean, Christian Wood and Thon Maker, compared to Andre Drummond, and not that Drummond was the greatest defender, but these guys are significantly smaller as far as like thickness goes. Thon Maker, a.k.a. the thin man. With that said, I think that I'm with you on the OKC guys. I think they're okay. They make for fine tournament plays. They're all going to be really low owned. Adams projects well, but center's loaded, and it's just kind of tough to get there. Danilo Gallinari, 6'1", he's got the best price. He'd be the one I'd be most likely to get, but even him, he's at a very competitive position. He's at the same position, in some cases, at least on DraftKings, as Christian Wood. So when it comes into how much you're going to play over who, I'm always going to go to the thin guy first. So I don't know how much I reach him. Shout out to Tajish, right? Tajish, I think we said. Herder, that's how you say it. Herder, Kevin Herder. So for me, I get this where, I got it from you because you started calling him Where Terror, and it's somebody commented on YouTube.
Kevin Herder, it's like
Herder. He's a herder. He's a herder, straight killer, herder. He goes out there and he hurts people. He hurts your DFS teams. That's what he does. That's what Kevin does. Just kidding.
Hurt sheep.
Just kidding. Next up, we got one of the games of the night, probably the game of the night, the Houston Rockets versus the Phoenix Suns. Pull up some action on these guys. So we'll pull up the road team, which is Houston. We've got obviously the other game, the third game with a 234 total. Houston are 2-point favorites on the road. We just saw them beat the Lakers last night in LA. It's the back end of a back-to-back in the midst of a 4-6 for Houston. Phoenix has had a day off, but they are also in a rough stretch, still completing a 4-6 stretch, and they also have a game tomorrow. So both these teams play. Houston played yesterday. Phoenix plays tomorrow. Both are in 4-6. So Phoenix, like Detroit, in a pretty rough part of the schedule. Talk to me about the Houston side of the ball. What are you doing, James Harden, bro?
So I'm of the mind he's going to be about 45-50% owned. I'm looking to be around 25-30. I just he seems off to me. His price is so high that he really has to do a ton. I just have a feeling the other pieces are going to do it today. Just like he's been letting Westbrook do it. I think this is an Eric Gordon, Covington, Austin Rivers, Danuel House, everyone else. Going to have some because this is by far my favorite game on the slate. Hard to see either side really blowing out the other. It's certainly possible, but I just expect a very fast. Houston is going to just be the fastest team in basketball the rest of the way. Phoenix plays fast as well. Over the last, say, 7 games, these are, the 4th and the 8th fastest teams in basketball. It's just the recipe. Neither of them play good defense. Both of them have some, very good shooters. A lot of 3-pointers will be shot. It just really lines up super, super well for a high-scoring game. So Harden, I'll be on the weight, but definitely have some, right? And I really like the other pieces. I loved what I saw out of Covington yesterday. I do think Eric Gordon plays well. Maybe Harden is a little banged up, and Gordon has to do the Westbrook role today, and we've seen that he's willing to do that when it's needed. Danuel House, he's becoming one of their better rebounders. Even PJ Tucker is certainly in play today. Ben McLemore, Austin Rivers, I can see getting a little bit of, but Covington, Gordon, and House are probably my three favorites on the Houston side.
Yeah, I mean,
and I will have 4-game, 5-man, and 6-man stacks of this game for sure too.
yeah, I mean, this is definitely a solid game to attack. I think on the Houston side, obviously Harden, you got to make a decision, right? I'm expecting him to be the most popular stud. How popular is he going to be? I think it's going to be higher than what some of the projections are coming in, only because we have so much value. But maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. And like that's important because if you're making a decision on going over or underweight, you kind of have to know where your starting point is. So it's something that I think it's tough. Like, what do you think he's going to be owned, Harden?
45 to 55.
I agree. I think he's going to be somewhere there. I've seen some places project him as low as 30% and all that. And again, that wasn't low relative to the slate. He was still like the fourth player on that list. So it's not like there were a bunch of people over him. But the people that do go stars and scrubs will be playing him. It's a great spot. The other day, we were in the spot with Westbrook out. I tried to go underweight. I faded him completely and tried to go balanced, and it just didn't work out. And there was no studs. I got all these exposures to all these other studs, and nobody matched them. So it was just a disaster. That obviously makes me hesitant to do something like that today. But every bone on my body tells me that this slate has options. Either way, as of right now, I probably will end up at least at the field, if not a little overweight. That's just the way it's working out. And you can see his projection, only 5.56x, but the raw points, because of how strong the value is today, is allowing us to comfortably fit him. So that seems to be the direction I'm heading. Covington will be my next favorite. I agree with you, Paulie. I think he's going to be pretty active. I expect him to play even more minutes today. I think rebounds is something he should be able to grab a bunch of. We know he's going to sit there and pop threes. And Eric Gordon would be my third. I'm not too into the other players. House for me, I just don't know. But I just don't know how many minutes these guys are all going to get with Covington there. Eric Gordon, though, if he gets hot, he could do dirties. It's just, again, just too many guys all around him. So it's mainly Harden and Covington for me. The Phoenix side, I'm a lot more interested in. Paulie, talk to me about the Suns. As you mentioned, the Rockets, since they got rid of their center, they're trying. It's not like an accident. They're trying to be the fastest team in the league. Talk to me about Phoenix.
Yeah. I mean, that's the style that D'Antoni truly likes. Breakneck speed, chuck up threes, run the other teams off the court. And they beat the Lakers last night. This is a perfect letdown spot without Westbrook, who basically carried them on his back yesterday. Phoenix has, performed better than I think anyone thought they would this year. It's pretty, obvious who you want from Phoenix, right? The problem is like how many is too many on a team. Rubio, 5 and 6, like phenomenal spot. He thrives in transition games. Kelly Oubre just doesn't come off the court. Devin Booker is a baller. DeAndre Ayton has been double-doubling like a beast, closer to like 2020 every game. And this is the best rebounding spot in all basketball now. You want to take a flyer on Czech Diallo? I don't mind that either. They're missing all the big Sarek, Baines, Kaminsky. He hasn't played a ton of minutes, but, he's an athlete that could, not get run off the court when he's there and still dominate the rebounds, high point per minute guy. Thin. I'm not talking about getting a lot, but you want to get 3 to 5% of him on this slate. I don't mind it, but I love Ayton. I love Booker. I have a feeling Rubio really breaks out today. That's like troubling because I don't know if I believe all 4 of those guys, Rubio, Oubre, Booker, and Ayton, like all can go off in that kind of game. I guess they could, but I feel like one of Rubio, Oubre, or Booker, one of those 3, falls behind as the others have such a big game. Like if Rubio goes for 50, I have a hard time seeing Booker also getting like 55 plus. He could have a good game, 45, but not like a ceiling where you're probably going to need to win a tournament today. But this is my favorite game stack. I will have a ton.
So I agree that if Rubio goes for 50, that Booker probably didn't go for 50. But I also think there's a world where number one, starting, you don't need a 50 from Rubio today. There is a world Rubio goes for 36, which is plenty. And their price today, that's all you need. Oubre, you're looking for a 40. Yeah, that's doable because he's playing about 38 to 40 minutes. Devin Booker's playing 40 minutes, and for some reason they dropped his price to 7.9. we know that they're already a thin team because they choose to be. They have guys on their bench they could play. Not a ton. They're missing a lot of dudes too. But they have a couple of these guys like Jalen LeCue, whatever. He's fine. They could play him. They don't want to. They want to play their guys massive minutes. Rubio's the one that's been on the back and forth, but against the Rockets, where they're going to want to be able to move the ball and play in transition, I agree with you. I think they're going to want Rubio on the court. Maybe he's bothered with an injury. He's been terrible, but at some point, he's going to start smashing, going for 40 again, and we want to get ahead of that curve. So I'm with you, man. I'm comfortable playing 4 guys here, especially in a game stack. Ayton is in the exact same spot as Anthony Davis yesterday. Can he shoot as well jump shot wise? Because I think that's really the strength. Even with Anthony Davis, he had all kinds of alley-oops and all this crazy stuff, but there were a lot of times where he just simply shot over the top of the guy. But either way, Ayton's playing huge minutes. His only true backups, Check Diallo, a guy they don't seem to want to play a ton. Foul trouble is the only thing that could stop if he's just bullying these guys. Because, sometimes when a guy looks so big and you bump into a smaller player, it looks worse than it is. So maybe some foul trouble, which leads to him not getting 39 minutes. But other than that, I don't see how he doesn't play a ton of minutes today. Now, the only thing on the back of my mind is that they do play tomorrow. But this is Houston, right? This is a game that you probably want to win. You're not playing for much in Phoenix. This is probably the game that you want to win. So I'm with you, man. I like the Suns a lot. They're one of my favorite teams just to go after in general. Why not? Why not attack the team that is trying to be the fastest team in the game? So I'm with it, man. I'm going to end up with you guys. Booker is probably the one I have the most of. Ayton, I'm trying to get more of now as we speak. And the problem is that center is so damn loaded that I'm having a hard time getting substantial shares. But Rubio, I was looking at around 20 to 30%. Booker, I'm 40 or 50% on. I do like this game quite a bit. Let's get into the next one, another good one. We got the Miami Heat visiting the Sacramento Kings. We know the Miami Heat are another team that's just add them to the list. Going to be really thin. In terms of schedule, the Heat have had a day off. Sacramento's had 3 days off. They do play tomorrow, but they are 3 days rested. This spread is currently, the total is currently 219.5. No movement. The Heat opened up -1.5. Now they're +1.5, probably after the Jimmy Butler news. Again, we're talking about another team that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 active bodies. 2 of the guys aren't really big rotation guys, or really 3 of the guys aren't supposed to be in this rotation, but maybe they have to be today. Talk to me about the Miami side.
Yeah, I love the Miami side. If I was building one team today, I'd probably have 3 Heat in it, right? I absolutely love Goran Dragic today. He may be my highest owned player. Was blown away, not blown away because I've known Derek Jones Jr. is super talented, but how aggressive and the kind of leadership role he took in that last game after Butler went down, super impressed. Phenomenal spot. Sacramento has no size. He's probably the highest jumper in the league. When Kendrick Nunn takes a ton of shots, he usually goes off. He's going to, 4,800, no Butler. They're super short. He's going to get 35 plus minutes. Really just awesome spot for him. Love the spot for Bam Adebayo. Center's deep. He's probably going to be way under-owned. I'll be certainly over the field. Really like the spot and price on Kelly Olynyk. Again, Sacramento has no size. Duncan Robinson I can, see playing, but those are the 5. Olynyk, Dragic, Derek Jones Jr., Kendrick Nunn, Bam Adebayo. Those are 5 of my 8 to 10 favorite plays on the slate. All of them, just where they're priced, the matchup, the shorthanded, just a shit ton to like here.
Yeah, definitely. Also, one of my favorite teams on the night. We know Iggy is not going to be ready to play. Jay Crowder is not going to be available. No Solomon Hill, even though I'd be surprised if they even kept Solomon Hill. I'm not really sure. That's obviously a salary now. But looking at the guys, again, no Tyler Hero. Just looking at the guys that they're left with, it's what's not to like. I would expect to see Nunn and Dragic play a lot together today, even if Dragic doesn't start, which I don't see why he would. They just don't do that. But I do expect to see him on the court together. Nunn's going to take a lot of shots. In terms of usage, Bam Adebayo goes up to 1.21 fantasy points per minute with these guys all out. Keep in mind that, there's Winslow and all these guys. If you're going through the samples and trying to figure out the usage, just remember to take those guys off is all I meant. With that said, I'll have a lot of Nunn. I'll have a lot of Dragic. They're part of the reason that I'm having a problem getting all the point guards I want. Bam, I'll have a good amount. I would be surprised if Bam didn't play 40 minutes today. He did last time against the Kings. He did in their last game against the Clippers. I'd be shocked if Bam didn't see 40 minutes today. And the matchup, like you said, is awesome. Dedmon wasn't stopping nobody, but he's gone. they have Rayshawn Holmes listed as questionable. Even if Holmes were to play, he's never been a good defender. He's undersized for a center. And I honestly don't think he's going to play anyway because they said he practiced the other day and was still sore. His shoulder was still sore. So I would be surprised if he even did play. So I will be loading up with a lot of Miami guys. I love Nunn, Dragic. I like Bam. I'm still working on getting a little bit more of him, having a hard time getting all the centers I want at the exposures I want. And then the other guy, I'm cool with Derrick Jones Jr. I got no problems with him at all. But the one that I think is really going to play a lot of minutes is Duncan Robinson. That dude just stands there, and they count on him to shoot. So I can see him being a pretty solid value play. Nobody I'm not getting no 60% of this guy. We got a lot of value. But another guy that should see a boost, man. He might not leave the court today. And with Tyler Hero out, he already plays monster minutes. So, but Nunn and Dragic are the main two. Bam a close third for me. What about the King side of the ball, Paulie? What are they going to do? We got Holmes in there projected for now, but
I got a pretty important piece of news on this spot from another tout in the industry. A really, really sharp take. The Heat have been similarly shorthanded like 3 times this year. The last time was against the Clippers, and they played zone about 80% of the time. So we want to target the jump shooters. They're De'Aaron Fox, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Buddy Hield. Bielitsa too. Those guys, they're going to play zone. You shoot through zones. Buddy Hield, one of the streakiest, can get hot and just go nuts from 3 kind of players. De'Aaron Fox has just been awesome this year. Bielitsa can shoot the 3. Bogdan can shoot the 3. Those are the guys we're going to want with Miami most likely going to that zone, being this shorthanded, trying to kind of protect some of their lesser athletic guys defensively like Goran Dragic and Duncan Robinson. Don't think anyone is really aware of that right now. So, love the Miami side. This is how you run back the King side.
I'm with it. I think it makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, Fox going to be very low owned today. His price is actually on DraftKings. 7-8 is cheap for him, man. He's a guy that should be probably in the 8s every day with his role on that team. Without Jimmy Buckets, we do expect their defense to take a hit. Dwayne Dedmon will not make his Hawks debut, by the way. We just got that news. Dwayne Dedmon will not make his Hawks debut. Another piece of news, Josh Richardson will play. So he's missed some time, but he is going to make his return from a hamstring injury tonight. That will murky things up a little bit more for those 76ers, which to me is a good thing because I don't want to play too many of them anyway. But yeah, I'm with you on the King side, man. I think Bielitsa could be interesting just from the simple fact that he may end up having to play the 5 today if Holmes is not a go. They only have Giles, who they don't like to play more than 17 minutes ever. They have Tolliver, but I think they're more likely to just slide Bielitsa down and play like Bogdan or Hield at the 3 and do something like that. But what you said is very interesting, especially for Hield, because Hield's got a soft price. Nobody's playing Hield, and he's one of those guys, man. He's got that 50 to 60 point upside when he gets hot. You mentioned they play zone. You want the shooter. The best shooter on this team, jump shooter, is Buddy Hield. That's like his purpose in basketball, is to shoot. So I like that, man. I'm probably going to raise the minutes for Buddy Hield a little bit. I'm just waiting for I was going to do it anyway. I was just waiting for the Holmes news to be official. Because if Holmes is out, I'll give everybody a little boost, and they'll be popping a little bit more. Hopefully, we're not going to get that news until late, but a late swap thing we may have to take care of. But Buddy Hield, very interesting tidbit on Buddy Hield for show. Last game, Paulie. I would say one of the more polarizing spots for you on this slate as we get into the Portland Trailblazers, led by Dame Dollar, visiting the Utah Jazz. Total in this game is 227.5. It's risen by 1.5 points. The Utah Jazz opened up at 8.5. They're up to -10. For Portland, then we know that this is the back end of a back-to-back. 3-4, but at least it's not a 4-6. Utah's had a day off to rest since their embarrassing loss to the Nuggets, who were on a 6-8 or 5-7, whatever, with 7 active players on a back-to-back, and they beat them. But anyway, talk to me about Damian Lillard. We know Hassan Whiteside is questionable. That was a little bit late. We might not have that news, but talk to me about Dame and company.
So, sometimes you look like the GOAT. Sometimes you are the WOAT. I was the WOAT yesterday. Dame just didn't really need to do as much. The rest of the team shot so well. They, not that they were in command all game, but they did end up winning kind of easily. And, Dame had a little bit of an off day, a bunch of turnovers. Didn't work out. Probably didn't need to go as high as I did, but I just been playing him so much. It was a small slate. Wanted to, get overweight on something. That being said, like I'm definitely gonna have some today. I don't think you need to go much higher than like 25% unless Hassan gets ruled out. If Whiteside gets ruled out, then I will reload up on Dame Lillard. We're probably going to be waiting for that news. So, like, I'm going to build him in to probably like 25-30%. And then as it gets closer, try to make a decision based on whatever information we get. We don't have the actual news on that situation. But, if Whiteside goes down, then he's going to have to do Dame time to carry them past Utah, a team that he just went bananas against. McCollum looked real good. His price has come down. I'm cool with him. If Whiteside plays, I'm not really that interested on a back-to-back against Gobert. Gobert hasn't been great defensively this year, but I just, the position is deep. He's not my favorite, although his price is extremely enticing. If Whiteside's out, I'd probably get some more Ariza. Probably the extent of what I'm looking to do here, though. I don't think I get any Melo, even if Whiteside's out. It's just like how much Dame do I play, and a little bit of McCollum and some Whiteside if he is in.
Yeah, I mean, with if Whiteside does miss, obviously his teammates get a boost. Mainly Damian Lillard, we would expect him to do a lot more. This is a tough place to play for a lot of teams. So if there's ever a situation where they may need to rely on Dame, it would be a situation like this. CJ McCollum, extremely cheap, got in foul trouble in their last game yesterday, but was playing well. But we often see shooters struggle in places like Denver and Utah specifically. So that's not the greatest for Dame, who when you play him, you're looking for him to take all those threes. But as far as Whiteside being out, you have to kind of throw that out the window and just give them all a bump. Whiteside's a big piece to be missing in this. Putbacks, rebounds, everything. So if Whiteside is out, obviously, I already have Dame's projection high. I'm trying to be aggressive still just to catch it. Just as edge in tournaments, I'm looking at around 15% or so at Dame right now. If Whiteside gets ruled out, maybe we bump that up to 20, maybe 25, even 30, depending on how the slate is going as far as late swapping goes. But it's really like the risk versus reward. It's not a great spot. They're projected to get blown out. But everybody was in Utah, and they all did the dirty to him, right? Houston did the dirty to him and just went nuts. Their defense has been terrible at times. So, yeah, I'm more than willing to. I think Ariza, like you said, if Whiteside is out, becomes a very strong value play. More rebounds for him. More rebounds for Melo, but I'm a little worried about the shooting spot. But his price is really low. Another interesting piece to consider is if Whiteside's out of the game, who's the hell is going to play all those center minutes? We're looking at Wenyen Gabriel and Caleb Swanigan. Nazir Little's not even around. He's out. So those guys are like min price. I don't know if you want anything against Gobert because I just think the main guys' usage is just going to be through the roof, and that's where you want to stick. But it's worth mentioning they are very, very cheap, and they would have to fill the void. But here's the other thing. If Whiteside does play, I think people are going to be afraid to play Whiteside. If he does play, he's 7-7 on DraftKings against Utah. Like, he's just too cheap. So it's interesting. I thought he was going to be one of the chalkiest centers, and I think he would have been had he not been questionable. But obviously, with all the other centers we have and him being questionable, now I'm expecting his ownership to be a little lower. Let's talk about Utah for a second. You like anybody from Utah? Mike Conley's been booling.
Yeah. Donovan Mitchell's price just getting insanely low. I think we got to be buying. Portland's been one of the best teams to target. This is probably like the third highest total on the slate. I expect the game to be close. Portland's, on a mission to get into the playoffs and go deep once they get fully healthy. And, I just don't see anyone really blowing them out unless they have like a crazy off night, after like no rest and stuff like that. So I expect the game to be close. So the Utah side is definitely appealing, like game stacks here. After Mitchell, it's probably Gobert, especially if Whiteside's out. Then like I'm cool with Jordan Clarkson, Joey Ingles, Bojan Boggs, and Mike Conley, but they're just like game stack kind of players for me, not really able to have high exposure to. But Donovan Mitchell, now the price is to the point where even like a mediocre game, he's making pretty decent value. So I do like it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Right now, I mean, he projects as one of the better plays on the slate for sure. I've got Booker as a better graded play from raw points and point per dollar, but Donovan Mitchell would be the next on that list for sure. And ownership-wise, I think after Harden, he's the guy as far as like guys like not value plays, but real players that I'll probably have the most exposure to, probably Booker, Harden than him on that list. And like you said, by default, he's just too cheap. I know Conley's back. Conley's been playing really well. I think he's going to play a lot of minutes, chase around Dame, all that fun stuff. I'm okay with them. Just again, I got Dragic and Nunn, similar priced. I like them a lot more. Rudy Gobert could be really interesting, especially if Whiteside is out, because you're talking about Swanigan and those guys, not nearly as big as Whiteside, but again, center's loaded, and I don't have this crazy desire to play Rudy Gobert. But I will acknowledge that his price is low at 7-7. If Whiteside's out, his matchup gets even better. Not that it's a bad matchup even if Whiteside's in, but obviously rebound-wise, he'd be looking at more upside, I would think. That's going to do it, Nation, for this portion of the show. But as you know, we are not done yet. We will be right back looking at some of the questions. Tejas, my bad. Tejas, appreciate the herder. We've been catching you in here. If you haven't hit the like button yet, guys, please smash that like button. I can't even talk. Again, it's one of them days. We're going to take a brief pause, a little break, set up for the next show. We'll talk some game theory. We'll try to answer some questions if there's time. All the while, we're building our teams, but the most important aspect of the next part of the show is to keep you updated with any news that comes out before lock. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. Going to play some background music for y'all. We stretch out, set up for the next one. Don't go nowhere. Hit that like button, and we will be right back. What up, Nation? We got back with part 2 of the NBA DFS Wise stream. Joined once again, of course, by the the true OG Paulie D. Paulie, after that game-by-game breakdown, I do feel like I have a little bit of a better idea of what I'm looking to do. However, we are still getting news. We got to be ready to react. We haven't gotten everything just yet, so we'll see how this second portion goes. Just to start, we did get some news. We know that Dwayne Dedmon will not make his Hawks debut. Victor Oladipo will play. And he'll rest tomorrow, being that this is a back-to-back. For the Pacers, TJ Warren has been ruled out, so I guess he's not back from his concussion. Maybe that's the reason he's not back, because they have a game tomorrow. Nothing that impacts me too much, Paulie. I don't think anything for you either, right?
Nope.
Nothing too crazy. I'll make some adjustments to that. In the meantime, Paulie, I guess we'll go ahead and rank the studs, mid-tier, value, all that kind of stuff, who we like the most, as we wait for more of this news to come in. If you guys have questions, if you're watching us, we're going to start with the Ystream page as always. We'll start with some questions there, and then we will check the YouTube chat second. So if you're watching on the WiseTake page, the Ystream page, we will answer your questions first. Let's start off, Paulie, with I guess the top studs on the slate. So obviously Harden's on an island of his own, but if you're not playing Harden a lot, or if you're going underweight, whatever the case may be, who are some of the studs that you're looking to substitute? I guess we can lower the stud to what, 8,500? Does that sound fair today? Because there's not as many like super expensive dudes.
Yeah.
All right.
Trae Young, Lillard, and Ayton in that range are my favorites.
Trae Young, Lillard, and Ayton. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. It's just, again, it all goes back to Harden, where you think he's going to finish, right? Like the 2v2s you were going over before, right? It was like what, Booker and Fox opposed to Harden, and who was the player used for an example?
Doumbaya,
the boy Doumbaya. I'm with you. Talk to me about some of the mid-tier plays that you like today.
All right. That's where it gets deep. So on the higher end, I like Devin Booker and De'Aaron Fox quite a bit. As we drift down, Donovan Mitchell, Christian Wood, Buddy Hield, Ricky Rubio, Goran Dragic's one of my favorite plays on the whole slate. That's the mid tier that I'm gonna get beat with.
Yeah, I don't disagree. As of right now, in terms of we'll save that for the next question. I don't disagree. Talk to me about the value options. Who are your favorite value plays today?
Um, Olenek, Melton, Derek Jones Jr., Kendrick Nunn, Dumbaya, Troy Brown, Ish Smith, them's the favorites.
I got a question here from my boy T Cam, and member of the WiseTake Nation, longtime member. Rank your favorite to least between Damian Lillard, Goran Dragic, and Kendrick Nunn.
Dragic, Lillard, Nunn.
I love you, hear me.
What about you?
How I would rank those guys? I would probably go Dragic, Nunn, Lillard. I'd probably go.
Yeah, I mean the price difference is major.
Yeah, exactly. If Whiteside plays, do you like him or Rudy Gobert?
I don't really like Whiteside that much either. If he plays, he's obviously playing not at 100% on a back-to-back against a big, tall defender. Usually Whiteside thrives when he's the bully. In this case, he won't be, and he's on a back-to-back. Hard for me to see him doing that dirt in altitude in Utah. I'm not really into Hassan.
Yeah, but he has to, if you had to pick one, I guess.
Yeah. Gobert.
Okay, fair enough. Show enough.
Yep.
Show enough. I guess we could. You know what I want to ask you? Let's start with cash games, and then from there, I want to find out what you're thinking about in terms of exposure. So if we're doing a cash game team right now. Who are the first few guys you're plugging in here? Obviously Harden, I would assume.
Yeah, I would play Harden in cash, and I just get on the weight on him in tournaments. I'd put Cantor and Tatum into a cash lineup. I'd put Dragic into a cash lineup. I would put Kendrick Nunn in a cash lineup. I'd put Donovan Mitchell into a cash lineup.
So relative to those guys, as far as tournaments go, are you on completely different players, so to speak, or are those lining up with some of the players you're gonna have exposures to?
I like most of them. Dragic, Devin Booker, Nunn, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. Those are some of my favorite plays on the slate. Harden, I'll be under on. Cantor, I'm starting to lean to get under on.
Talk to me about the Cantor one, because I'm having that's the one I'm having a hard time going under on. I just don't see how they won't need him.
I mean, I thought they needed him a lot lately, and they really haven't pushed his minutes that hard. I don't know,
yeah, but
he hasn't had as many odd mode moments in Boston. Kemba's a high usage player, Tatum's a high usage player. I can just see them him being on the court, but not taking. He only took 5 shots in 20 some odd minutes. That's possible. I think guys on the slate DeAndre Ayton could go for 55, 60. Can't only get you a 30. He's not going to be the play you wanted. So, we're needing a 35 out of Cantor. I think it's just a decent chance he gets it.
You need a 35 for Cantor, it's to justify playing him over the other centers?
To have him be worth more than DeAndre Ayton or Joel Embiid's 55, 60 burger.
Right. But now on FanDuel, I'm obviously not as high on Cantor simply because I don't want to sacrifice. If I play Cantor over there, I can't play any of those other centers. On DraftKings, you have the utility spot. I know that guard is going to take up a good slot of that. We have a lot of loaded guards. But I'm perfectly fine playing him in high exposures along with some of those other options like Ayton and some of these other ones and splitting that. Now, it's going to prevent me from getting, say, 40% of Ayton or something like that. But to be honest, I think it's pretty close between Ayton, Bam, Embiid, and some of these guys. So I'm not that upset with that. Cantor's the one I'm having a hard time getting away from just looking at the role, right? They got Kemba back, but they lost Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward. So in my opinion, I think they're going to stagger those 4 players into groups of 2. And so Cantor should get a good chunk. When we talk about he didn't take a ton of shots, he was playing alongside Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Tatum. Right? This situation's a little bit different. Like they still were able to pair off and do their thing. Now, to me, I just don't see how he doesn't, like, with no Theus. And we just said we don't really like those ancillary players. But so if you don't like Cantor, you got to think there's going to be more than just the possibility of those three players against the Hawks having good games. Now, good games, I'm not saying that if Tatum goes for 60, maybe he's the only one that did anything. But say Tatum goes for 45 or something like that. Like, some other players have to do well. This is Atlanta we're talking about. So I have a harder time, like, getting away. He got 26 minutes in the last game with, like, you know what I mean? With a couple more bodies. You gain Kemba, but then you lose Brown and Hayward. Two guys that are playing a collective 35 minutes each or more. So for me, with no center, I don't know. I feel like he's gonna have to play today, like 26 minimum. And if he does, he's in like a nut spot. And I do expect his usage to be higher with no Hayward or Jaylen Brown. Those are guys that do actually shoot.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to talk it out. I'm just trying to talk it out because like maybe I shouldn't like him this much. Is basically,
I mean, he's so polarizing. Like,
I know.
Because of what his feeling can be. Like, he can go for 50 in 30 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was just a little, like, disappointed in the 5 shot attempts in 26 minutes last game.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he's, like, gone off, like, once or twice this entire season. And, I don't.
It's tough, bro, because, like, even if you look, like, he's 4-4 today. Like, if he goes for 23, he didn't win you a tournament today. But he didn't kill you necessarily. You might still be able to cash, like, make up for it, right?
Right.
If he goes for, I don't know, last time, I mean, it looks like he just played Atlanta. He played 16 minutes against Atlanta. That was his first game back from the injury. He was limited to 16 minutes. He went for 20 in 16 minutes against them. I just find it hard to believe he doesn't get minimum 23 today, even if they try to eventually go small.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 19 minutes against Memphis went for 28. 24 against the Lakers went for 34. All these scores at 4-4, like that's really what it comes down to, is you have to sacrifice the position. That's the worst part about it. If center wasn't deep today, it probably wouldn't be a big deal, right? But center happens to be, I would say the second outside of point guard, the second deepest position. So I'm just like, I understand it, but where I am now, like, I don't like my two favorite value plays by far, outside of like. And when I say value, I'm talking about like Cantor or lower, right? Because I do like none a lot. I'm going to have a lot of none today. But it's him and DeAnthony Melton. Like those are the ones that I like the most. And I'm having a hard time. Like, am I making a mistake by Cantor being that guy? Am I falling for the fact that he can give me the upside? I don't expect 10x from him. I think those days, like you said, on the Boston team, if we got that, phenomenal. But I'm not going to sit here and expect that, or But I do expect him to give me a 30 today.
Where are you on Kelly Olynyk at 1,100 cheaper?
I'm cool with him, but I'm not like, oh, Trae Young just got ruled out. Oh, shit.
Ooh. Brandon Goodwin, holla.
Brandon Goodwin, yes. Well, I don't know. Jeff Teague's there now.
Teague too, both.
Both of them. Holla if you hit
me.
Herter. Oh, my gosh. This is what we needed in this Boston game. What were we talking about? We were talking about Cantor.
And I asked you about Olynyk. Where are you at on Olynyk? Because, like, I'm projecting them for about the same minutes, right? Like 26, 27, 28.
Do you think Olynyk is going to get that many? They are thin. I'm not saying he won't. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Like, I expect him to start for sure.
Six guys, like, like, if you think Dragic isn't starting, then Olynyk is like definitely starting.
Oh, Olynyk is definitely starting, but he's playing in a role that Myers Leonard played, where he got 18 to 22 minutes a game. Obviously, I expect him to get more also because they're thin. Like, they don't have the backups to bring in. But I guess to answer your question, like, I'm usually going to side with Cantor. Like, I think Cantor's a better point per minute player, but it is a good point. And the other thing about Olynyk is he's power forward eligible. That's huge on a slate like this. Oh, Trae Young doubtful now. So initially they said he was out. Now they say he's doubtful. I'm going to assume he's not playing.
Yeah.
We ain't playing this game again, man.
Where are you on Christian Wood?
That was the next guy I was going to ask. I'm glad you brought him up. That's the next guy I was going to ask you about. I like him, man. I don't know. Dwayne Casey said that, it's time for him to step up. They got rid of Drummond and didn't get nothing in return. I know they're giving up, but at the end of the day, like again, the coach still cares about winning. The coach wants to win. He don't want his record to fall into a shithole if he doesn't have to. So I don't know, man. He's getting 30-something minutes a game already. I feel uncomfortable with the price. He's got Adams and Noel on the other side. I don't feel great about that. But that price, at that price, assuming he's going to play that many minutes with Detroit being that thin, I like him. I like him a lot. I do. Like he could really do a lot for you. I mean, think about it. 6-6 for him is what, 36? In a situation with no Drummond, he's been playing alongside Drummond all these 30 minutes he's been getting. Now no Drummond, he's tough. He's tough not to get like a good chunk of. It's tough.
Agreed.
Tough like a toiga. How much percentage-wise are you willing to take on Porzingis?
Not much. The more I think about it,
It's tough. He's expensive as shit.
I mean, the good thing about using these models is like you start to see like what their price against the slate, like what it really means. Like, so like he's automatic 50 since what's his name's been gone, right? So you put him at a 50, you're still not getting much. Like, that it's kind of similar to how I feel about Harden, right? They're going to be popular. They should do really well, but is their price too high relative to what else is on the slate? And the ownership factor, right? Like we're playing in the 118,000 man donkey today, right? Like I just like lean towards baiting chalk more so than normal days because of that contest.
Do you think Porzingis will be chalk even at that price?
Yes, I think he'll be like top 12 highest owned player on the slate.
No doubt. Make a quick 46.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't know. Like,
well, I think if Trae Young's out, Collins is going to really emerge with ownership, right? Like, so I don't know. I don't know if people get all the way up there. You're passing Bam. You're passing. You're getting up like really. You're passing Ayton. I think. What is Ayton? 8'6"?
8'5", yeah, 8'6", yeah.
You got to pass so many people to get him. So I mean, I don't love him either. I'm gonna have some obviously because he can go for 60, and if he does that, it doesn't fucking matter what his price is, right? Like he's just like But I'm with you. I'm not that aggressive on him. But I wasn't in the last game either, and it kind of bit me in the ass. I had like 30%. He was 50%, and I regretted the shit out of that every second. So I was just curious. What is your opinion? Oh man, this Atlanta Boston game is just getting more interesting. I hate that shit. You're gonna say he's ruled out and then say no, he's doubtful. Like, come on, man. What does this mean, Basil? What does it all mean? See if there's any questions real quick. Does Thon Maker take over at center with Drummond gone? 3K on DraftKings. What do you think?
Thon Maker doesn't take over anything. But, he probably plays good minutes, but if I'm having a hard time playing a lot of Cantor, and I ain't gonna have any hard time not playing Thon Maker much. Like I think I capped him at like 4%. Like I think Doumbia is a much better play on his own team for 500 more, and I just think the slate is loaded with killers that are gonna go for significantly more points. Like how many times out of 100 is the slate ending and Thon Maker is over 30 DraftKings points?
Right. No, I agree. I like the Doumbia call. I not that I love Doumbia. But I do like I like him better than Thon Maker, right? Like he's actually shown us usage. He's actually shown a pretty good usage rate at times, and I expect him to demonstrate that at certain points, at least when he's on the court without Reggie, things like that. I expect him to kind of step up and just chuck. It doesn't mean he's going to be good. That day Reggie was 1 for 16. He was right there with him at 2 for 12, but at least he was shooting. And they're obviously thin. I do like that. I do like that call with Dempoya. We got a question from Austin Clampett. Why are you so high on Melton? Melton making one team, does he make it? So talk to me about DeAnthony Melton. I'm real high.
That's a good question. So a team in the playoff race very rarely trades away a starting player getting 25 to 35 minutes a game, and like the reason that they were willing to do that was because of DeAnthony Melton, how great he's played. This guy's had over 20% usage pretty much the last, 15 games. He's, playing 20 through 28 minutes a game, except when they were fully healthy. And now he's going to step in front of Jay Crowder. He really has not been playing backup point guard. He's been playing backup 2 or 3. And like, you look around this team and like, that Winslow's not going to be back anytime soon. Like, why could they do that? Anthony Melton are in the role, and they saw an opportunity to get some value and get rid of Crowder, who was expensive. And he's 3,700. There's a chance he starts at the 3. I doubt it, but he may. I think Kyle Anderson will get to start, but I think he sees similar minutes to what he did the last game, which was 28. And they got, they blew out Dallas. They're playing Philly. They should be coming from behind. He's going to have like the second or third highest usage on the team, double-digit shot attempts. A lot to like about the Anthony Melton today for me.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Do you have any idea? Have you seen him at all with ownership projections? Is he projecting to be like really chalky or anything? Do you know?
Like 18% I'm seeing on RG.
I mean, that's so crazy to me because like I know obviously Cantor's lock and load, but
that was before the Teague situation. So like, let me, that they haven't even updated the ownership yet, but I bet Teague jumps in front of him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And then you already have the Nunn and the Dragic and all that stuff, Rubio. I like Melton a lot.
I think it'll be like 12% on him.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be low also. And to me, man, like he projects to be one of the top plays on the slate for me. Like that's where I'm at. I didn't do anything special for him. I just actually gave him minutes, which he never really gets. But with Crowder out, he was coming in for Dillon Brooks a lot. He was subbing in and out for Brooks, and it makes sense when you mention that they like them both defensively, because you're replacing Dillon Brooks, who you evidently believe is a good defender, with Anthony Melton, who you also believe is a good defender. And now you're talking about you want them on the court together. You just made some room to make it happen. So I again, with Crowder out, I do think Melton plays big minutes. I know the last time Crowder was out, Melton didn't get a ton of minutes, but he was also dealing with a hand injury that day. He wasn't even going to play. He played because they were just short, and they only played him when they needed him. Like, he normally gets garbage time run, and that day he didn't even get garbage time run. They got destroyed against New Orleans, and they just gave him off. But I'm with you, man. I like him a lot. I'm going to have a lot of him. I'm really way overweight on the field to him. If he sucks, I'm going to be pretty pissed at him. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to see some hateful tweets later on from this guy. So make sure you follow him on Twitter if you like that shit. If you want to get down with that. I try to be a positive person, but I will be pissed because I know for a fact that I'm going to take a shot on this mother sucker. So do not do me dirty, please. Smashing out a question from the WiseStream page. Bruce Brown and Duncan Robinson or Dragic and Sekou on DraftKings?
Dragic and Sekou, sure.
Yeah, I would say Dragic and Sekou. I like that. Thoughts on... Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a couple of these. Who's ruled out for Atlanta? So Trae Young is doubtful now. Dedmon is not going to make his debut. Bruno Fernando has been ruled out. Those are the guys who are out, on top of, Cam Reddish and those other guys. But DeAndre Hunter is playing. Best play for the Hawks besides Collins?
Herter and Pete.
Yeah, I would agree. Sucking on hard and long. All right, let's see. There was another question here. Thoughts on Mike Conley? He's been good lately since he returned from injury.
He's all right. Like I said, everyone's been doing well against Portland. But, are you playing him over Dragic? Are you playing him over Nunn? Are you playing him over Jeff Teague now? Are you playing him over Rubio? Are you playing him over, for guys like Fred VanVleet, Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson? It's, it's a hard sell right now. But he's fine. I think I have, let me see what I got on that. I got 6% Mike Conley right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's fine. Little late night hammer action. Probably someone that I would be more interested in like a late slate setup, but obviously his ownership would be really high too in that scenario. So ain't no edge there. No, sir. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pop these in there. Just give you 1 sec. We'll come back to it in a minute. Just got to get these projections right. All right, I think that's good. Updating the TJ Warren for the projections over at WiseTake.com for those of you who are subscribed. Making an update currently again to TJ Warren's status. And next we will do Fat Atlanta, which should be exciting. Oh boy, What does this mean for you in terms of that game in general, man? Like, it's hard to envision Atlanta, who's not a good team, who was already a 9.5 point underdog on the road, doing too great today against this team. Like where are you at with them as a team?
Oh yeah, without Trey Young, they're really bad. But Boston's fairly short too. Um, they just neither team has enough players to like not give them run, and that just regardless if like Boston wins by 30, these guys are just going to play a lot.
Right. Yeah, no, I get you. Again, it comes down to like at a certain point they're just thin. Just you got no players. You don't got no players. Let me check back for more questions. Does anybody like Grant Williams from Boston?
Like I'll have like 3% of him, mostly just in game stacks. It just that feels too thin to me to like really play on this slate.
Yeah, I feel you. Any Reggie Jackson love?
Yeah, I like Reggie a little bit.
Yeah, I like Reggie. Again, just it's hard. It's competitive with the you know.
You got to play him over, all those guys we just listed over whatever point guard, Mike Conley. It's the same scenario.
Right. We got the Mavs starting lineup. We've got Jalen Brunson, Courtney Lee starting at the 2. Jalen Brunson, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr., Finney Smith, and Porzingis is starting lineup. I forgot he was still there. Honestly, that do anything for you? That starting lineup? I mean, it sounds with Lee being in there, I would think that's a little boost for the rest of the guys that are going to shoot. I just don't envision Lee shooting a ton, but nothing major though, right?
It is so annoying that we're getting all this Saturday news right now in the feed.
Oh,
Like,
just
are you
not a
for
good
real?
time. Just not a good time for it. You
Nin-
talking to me about Denver right
19
now?
minutes,
For real?
19 minutes to lock.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't do much for me on the Dallas thing. Like, I don't think Courtney will play a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
Some traveling. I don't know what the hell's going on there. No.
Nobody knows, bro. Nobody knows. Let's see. So, starting lineup for the 76ers, Ben Simmons, Shake Milton, Tobias Harris, Horford, and Embiid. So everybody's in. Richardson we know is available to play. I'm assuming he's going to come off the bench. I do think that is obviously better for the starters here if Richardson comes off the bench. At least they get some minutes without him. I would assume Richardson's going to be limited as it is a hamstring injury, and he missed a lot of time. As far as the Hawks, assuming Trae Young is out because he's doubtful, assuming he's out, the available Hawks are Jeff Teague, Herter, Hunter, Collins, Jones, Goodwin, Trevion Graham, Brown Jr., and Vince Carter. Those are the available. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9. Another thin team in general.
Yeah.
Holler if you hear me. Let's see. We got to make some updates here to the Hawks. So here's a question. I'm going to ask this one because I've seen a couple of these ones. Oh, no. Okay. I skipped one here. Collins, Ibaka, Bam, Tatum. Pick 2.
Oh, it's Ibaka, Bam, Tatum. Bam and Tatum.
Bam and Tatum. Hit that like button, guys. Appreciate you. I would say Bam and Tatum too. Please hit that like button. Is McLemore a play? Ben McLemore. I heard a couple people ask about him.
Sure. Great game. You want exposure to everything. He's one of the cheapest plays. It's going to get minutes, but not really. Again, you're playing him over significantly better players. I don't like that.
Agreed. Trae Young is ruled out, so is Collins a lock now? I would play him in cash, right? Like I'd play Collins in cash at this point, probably. Do you think only if you think the field will? I mean, again, in tournaments, I'm not going to take too crazy of a stance on him. I think the position's too loaded, and there's a good chance the Hawks get blown out. But holler if you hit me.
True that.
So no for you, right? Collins not a lock.
No, not a lock. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
No, I mean, we just had the question, and he was in it, and we both didn't choose him.
Yeah. No, of course. We've got to answer it, though.
No. I was just pointing out, like,
Abe Z says Simmons lock from Atlanta. What's Simmons from Atlanta? Is there a Simmons on Atlanta I'm not thinking of?
The only Simmons I know is Benny.
That's
Benny
the
Boy
only
Simmons.
that's the only Simmons I know. Not sure who you're referring to. Trae Young ruled out. Simmons lock from Atlanta. Trae out. Yeah, I don't know what Simmons. Anyway, we'll keep it rolling. See if we get any news. I'll check the Ystream page. Here we go. What do you think about Bielitsa?
I do like him. Definitely.
Yeah, especially, again, I think Holmes is going to be out, but especially if Holmes is out, I think Bielitsa may end up playing a ton of minutes. He's been playing terrible lately, I know, but at the end of the day, is what it is. Let's see here. All right, I got to make some updates to these projections right quick. What else we got going on? You got some stuff to tell the nation, Paulie?
Yeah. Well, as I'm breaking out my ownerships, I'll open up the YouTube chat right now. If you guys got any questions, let's bang out the rapid fire. But the spots on the slate, I think cannot be ignored is Miami, Detroit, the Phoenix and Suns game, the Dallas and Washington game, and the Atlanta and Boston game were also both very short now. Major usage and minute boosts going to guys that just weren't priced for that. And, those groups of either games or teams are just overwhelmingly superior to the rest of the field's plays. And, there's only a few things I think that could really come out. Sorry, Whiteside's the biggest news I'm waiting on. If he gets ruled out, that makes that game a lot more appealing to me. Right? Is there anyone else that we're waiting on truly anymore?
Nobody that I could think of off the top of my head, has major impact. Rashawn Holmes obviously is the one, but again, that's not
Yeah.
It's not like Mayor. The hell is this feed? Okay, yep. More news for tomorrow because we give a shit about Denver right now.
That's
sitting here trying to win $100,000 and they're trying to jam you tomorrow's news. What's up? You know what I mean? What am I supposed to do with this? You know what I mean?
I definitely think that Miami likely to play zone defense thing is certainly something we want to take advantage of.
That's a good point.
So the guys I'm getting the highest exposure to right now: Dragic, Derek Jones Jr., De'Aaron Fox, Devin Booker, Enes Kanter, Buddy Hield, Bam Adebayo, Robert Covington, Christian Wood, Jason Tatum, DeAndre Ayton, DeAnthony Melton, Mitch. Probably got to raise Teague a little bit, make sure I get some but I'm fairly comfortable with that. All right, YouTube action. I'm about to be up in there. If you guys got questions, let's gap. Damn, only 43 of them likes right now. We way behind yesterday's pace. I'm definitely not going to get that blowy.
No blowy.
Shit, I don't know where these questions, where you cut off. Everyone's going to jump on Teagan Collins now since Trae ruled out. Well, doubtful. Yeah, I like them, but I don't think they're the best plays on the slate now. What do you guys think about Beal against the Mavericks? Beal is priced up really high, similar to what I feel about Harden and Porzingis. They've got to do really, really well to get up there. So mostly playing them in game stacks because I think you're going to need an overtime, double overtime kind of situation to truly be these must-have guys on the slate. Porzingis and Nunn or Dragic and Collins. I would say Dragic and Collins. What about you?
Dragic and Collins. I like both of those guards. That's why it took me a second, but yeah, Dragic and Collins.
Yeah, same here. I like those two positions, by the way. I'm huge on Ayton tonight. Couldn't disagree, Nick. 2020 coming your way with blocks. Who's gonna do that dirty?
That's a great question.
Hopefully,
I love that question.
yeah, yeah, for
Hopefully
sure.
you.
So so this is what he said: "Who gonna do thy dirty? Do thy dirty, so that dirty ain't done to you. So thy dirty." Oh no. So there's a miss. Who gonna do thy dirty, so thy dirty don't get ink done to you?
Love
That's
it.
what's up.
I love it. That is what's up.
Trae Young is ruled out officially. Holla if you hear me. Knock if you're with me.
Knock of it. Oh yeah, I love that.
Uh,
I love that.
yeah. Reggie Jackson or Ricky Rubio? Let him know.
Ah man, that's a tough one. I would slightly lean towards Rubio, but I'm biased because I like that game a lot. But I would slightly lean towards Rubio. Reggie's the one that's been playing better. Highlight for him.
I agree.
How would you answer that, Sucker Freaka?
I'm not ready to anoint Reggie Jackson as this like automatic go for 40 guy yet. He's been ruining lives in DFS for a long time. He's not. You got to do a little bit more. Daniel House, any interest?
For me personally, not really. I prefer Covington.
For me, a little bit because I'm gonna have like 6-man game stacks of that game, so he's definitely gonna sneak in there. Like he's probably my third or fourth favorite on the Rockets, but Covington, Gordon, significantly ahead of the House master.
Okay, almost done with this Atlanta update.
Just so you know.
9 minutes.
I hope you guys are doing it. Even if Jonas Valanciunas will play.
Okay.
He's gonna be hot news flying in. Really.
It's about to go down. Is that what you're telling me? It's about to go down for real? You're getting phone calls at a time like this? Oh my god.
It's my girl again. Oh my god.
This is just crunch mode, bro. Yeah, how much Melton you gonna play today, bro?
Like 30%.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a good amount.
60?
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, just got done updating some of this Fat Atlanta situation. Damn.
What's good about Melton is like I think he'll get blowout run too if in fact Philly does blow them out. I don't think he's like in the protected group of guys who get
like they're still trying to get him minutes in general. They're just trying to let him play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh boy. How many games started at 7?
2. Maybe 3. I'll check, but I remember looking earlier, and that's the number that I recalled. So on that, and it is 2. Yeah, Memphis, Philly, Dallas, Washington.
So where does Jeff Teague rank in relation to Miami for you? You're not as high on Teague, correct?
He's fine, but they might get smoked, and he is not guaranteed to get a ton of minutes.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, let me see what this shit's gonna give me. Oh yeah, it's giving me a lot of Teague now. Man, it's gonna mess up my shares and my other dudes, man. Wow, it's really that news took a toll on me, baby. What's up?
Don't let it take you off of Miami.
Nah, yeah, I'm definitely not that. Holly, if you hear me, you know. ATL. We got 7 minutes to lock.
Bringing the Holla if you hear me's back.
You know. That's how we do. Oh man, Teague is cheap, huh? It's cheap.
What's his price tag? I did went in and up his ass.
He's 4.8.
Okay.
And of course, you got some Goodwin action down below. Know how we do.
I mean, wasn't he just chalk when Trae Young missed a game like 3-4 games ago?
He was like 4.8 and he sucked. He was just like, remember Goodwin took over the game. They had no choice but to leave Goodwin in.
That's right.
But they are a little more thin today than they were that day, though. That's the only drawback. They're a little more thin today. And we've seen them play Teague off the ball with Trae Young at times, so there's no saying that they wouldn't do that with Goodwin if they needed to. But I agree with you that we need to be conscious. Don't forget, he just was in this spot recently at 4-2 and sucked long and hard. And long.
And that's generally what he does. And he's a really good player. He's a great play today. But Teague or none?
Shit. Oh man, I get Teague or none. I think I like Dragic more than Teague, so I guess I'll say. That's how I'll answer that, right? Like, shit. I then be it. I then bet.
All right. I'm going to get back to the questions that's coming in hot and heavy. Jay Jackson, super sneaky. If you're talking about what's the one on Memphis? They're both on Memphis.
Jaren Jackson? Or Josh
Jaren Jackson? I don't think it's a great spot for Jaren Jackson. You know, phenomenal play. Risk Whiteside on FanDuel? I say absolutely not, because I don't think he's a good play even if he plays. SGA thoughts against Detroit. He's my favorite OKC guy. Baca or Covington? Covington for sure. Osimo has ended. I pray. Derek Jones Jr.? Nah, he got suspended. I'm sure he'll be back soon. But hopefully you guys can continue tuning into us as well and make some comparisons. I'd rather listen to the guy with like 300-400 people listening instead of like 3,000. Everyone doing the same shit. Derek Jones Jr., yes, Cliff. He's going to be like one of my top 5 highest owned players. I lost because I played Dwight Howard because of this guy. Hey, it's going to happen sometimes, bro. But you will win more than you will lose. Promise you that. Teague, Time, and Collins, absolutely. We all are hoping to do that dirty tonight. You better believe that. Hardaway, a sneaky play. Somewhat, I would have preferred Porzingis to be out, but yeah, anybody against Washington is going to get a lot of volume. Brunson or Dragic? It's Dragic for me. He will be my highest owned player. That's how you do that. 4 minutes to lock, guys. See if any lineups.
I think we got 3 minutes to lock, son. Is that it, right?
Yeah, treat them minutes. You right.
Treat all day. You got to be real with it. Keep it coming. What's the first game? It was Philly, right? Shit.
Yeah, Memphis, Philly, and Washington. Yeah. Kyle Anderson is going to start for Memphis. If you didn't know, no other lineups out.
3 minutes to lock.
Yeah, 3 of the minutes. Just going to keep doing. Where's Cash, y'all's boy?
Yeah, you got shit you got to do, man. You got a family and shit, What can you say?
Gallinari, Bogdanovich, or Derek Jones? Derek Jones for sure for me. Going with Goodwin instead of Teague. I like it. I do like that.
Yeah. Last time that was the case, right? Like last time everybody, was all hype about Teague and Goodwin outplayed him and they let him close.
Shit. Get that hype. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes to do that dirty. Gallinari, Harris, or Bojan? I'd go Harris. Tobias. Haven't seen him in forever. Yeah, we got to try and, locate the dude. But, yeah, right. Y'all fired. Yeah.
What happened? I missed that one.
Not me. They said y'all fired him.
Nah, you can't fire Cash. Are you kidding? You try to fire that motherfucker and see what he does.
Yeah. Right?
Nah, bro, we would never fire him, man. We got mad love for Cash, man. At the end of the day, look, the dude's got like 4 kids. He may have more that he don't even know about, but he's got at least 4 kids. And he works a job where he works until. Do you guys realize he was writing his articles like while he was working and shit?
Driving 18-wheeler truck.
Yeah, man.
Okay, with gasoline.
Yeah,
that's how he was writing his articles. Yeah. Wasn't safe.
Was not safe. He actually, in fact, he lost the job once. For probably something related to that. So just saying, like, Cash gave everything he had while he could, but you know the way Cash is. If he can't give you everything, he ain't gonna give you nothing. That's just, it is what it is, man. We got mad love for him. I know, Paulie, you've talked to him briefly recently. Like, it's nothing like that. I mean, you look at his Twitter. Look how little he tweets. Cash. He got shit to say, but I respect it, man.
When
He's a
something
family man.
bad happens to the Yankees, he will resurface. I can guarantee you that.
You better believe it. You better believe it. If something bad happens to the Yankees, for sure. Y'all, you know. But yeah, man, listen, it's unfortunate. What's also unfortunate is there's no more likes. We got to hit them likes. But yeah, in all seriousness, as we approach lock, it ain't like that. We got a lot of people asking about Cash. Obviously, we like him too, man. He was a big dude. Why do you think we brought him on? Paulie's the one that went and recruited his ass, met him at a live final, and brought him on. So we got a bunch of love for Cash, man. Nothing like that. He's the one that said he couldn't do it.
In closing, last night I was explaining to my girl how the likes work, and I was like, "Yeah, we had a great day. We got 100 of them," and and she was like, "Oh, that's great. You should try to get 150 tomorrow." I'm like, it's a big jump." She told me if I got the 150, it'd be, blowy city over here. So, I could use it. There's nothing more I want to do than show her the 150 and be like, you know what you got to do. Come on, Nation. I never asked for nothing.
Come on, hook him up, man. You gotta hook him up after that one. You guys gotta hook him up. Hit the likes, guys. That's gonna do it. We're out of here for today. We'll continue to provide content at WiseTake.com in the form of article, projections, all that stuff. The actual show will not be back until Monday. Monday through Friday is the deal. So enjoy your weekends. We will have an XFL show late tonight, following our esports show. Esports stream probably be sometime around like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then after that, me and Paulie are going to hop on, talk some XFL for y'all, to get down and dirties. And that's it. That's it.
You need like 90. It ain't happening. Come on. Hook him up. Hit it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. We can get there. Do it for Paulie. Do it for Paulie. That's all I got to say. That's going to do it for us, Nation. For myself, for Paulie D, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Peace.